It's Dog Park Wednesday. Going to the dog park. Alright, let's talk about that weirdo mass shooter freak that shot up that 4th of July parade in Highland Park, Illinois. And not so much him in general, but how the Democrat Party and the left-wing media, which is almost all media, are creating people like this. I want to point out too that people are trying to say that he was a Trump supporter, he went to a Trump rally. Yeah, no lefties ever went to a Trump rally to try to disrupt stuff. They do it every time. This dude was not a Trump supporter, okay? He had some kind of a socialist tattoo on his arm. Socialism tattoo. So, I don't want to hear that shit. If anybody looked like an Antifa soy boy, it's this dude. Guy's a freak. So, how do you create people like this? You know, that don't care about anything, man. Honestly, I think it starts with bullying in school. Personally, I think that's how it starts. You know, maybe crack down on the bullying in school. I don't know. But Democrats are going to try to use this because somebody committed a crime. Instead of, you know, going after criminals better than they do, because they don't. Democrats actually let criminals out of jail, and that doesn't make it any better. And I think they're letting them out of jail on purpose because they want crime to be sky high. And once the murders and muggings and all that shit gets so out of control that the public can't take it no more, they'll have a better mentality for super strict gun control everywhere in the country. That's why they're doing it. Just like they want to implement socialism. How do you do that? You make people miserable. Make it so they can't afford anything. They can't buy food or get baby formula. Can't afford gas. They'll be willing to put their hand out and take something from the government. They're way more willing to accept socialism. If that freak was a Trump supporter, he wouldn't have killed people on the, you know, Independence Day. Trump supporters love America. Democrats hate America. So, more proof that he wasn't a Trump supporter. I don't think you can get just anybody. You can't convert anybody into being a shooter like this freak or the freak in Uvalde. Also, that dude in Uvalde, there's pictures of him that he posted on social media where he was can you consider him trans? Can you consider somebody trans if they haven't had surgery yet? But he dressed up like a chick. So, that's LGBTQ HIV shit. Same with this dude. The dude that shot up Highland Park parade. That dude was dressed up like a woman. He's probably LGBTQ. It's the Democrat Party's creating LGBTQ serial killers, apparently. It's mental illness, right? So there's a small fraction of people that are mentally unstable a little bit as it is, and then you talk about bullying in school, that's going to add to it. Democrats are constantly promoting violence. They're promoting hate all the time, telling everybody that our country's racist, everything's unfair. It's the Democrats. When I say the Democrats, I'm talking about the lefties. But all Democrats are lefties. Because even if you're a normal Democrat, which I don't even know what that is anymore, and you vote blue, you're voting for all this crazy shit. So as far as I'm concerned, everybody's left. The Democrat Party is completely left. They promote silence is violence. So if you don't say something that they want you to say, then that's violence, and they can do violence on you in retaliation. It's the left that promotes violence. The mostly peaceful 600 BLM riots they had, You know, where the Democrats bailed them all out of jail so that they could get right back on the street and do it all over again. You know, mostly peaceful, my ass. $5 billion in damage. You know, they killed almost like 50 people. Ruined people's businesses, ruined people's lives. And as far as I know, there's no BLMers in jail. No one gets punished for shit. So, you know, that's condoning it. This all boils down to mental illness. So, what is a mentally ill person? Somebody who's confused? Somebody who's been indoctrinated into thinking violence is okay, like the Democrats push? You want to talk about confusing people? They're indoctrinating little kids as young as preschool into thinking, hey, maybe I'm not a boy, or maybe I'm not a girl, or maybe my gender is fluid. They're confusing the shit out of people, out of little kids with impressionable minds. So you start fucking with their heads that young, it's a lot easier to create, you know, a crazy fucker. Democrats push the violence, like Maxine Waters, get in their face, that kind of shit. Chuck Schumer, you're gonna reap the whirlwind. The left has a mentality that if you're doing violence against somebody who disagrees with you, then it's okay. I don't know, what do you guys think about these shoot 'em up games? I'm on the fence, man. I don't know if little tiny kids should be playing these shoot 'em up games. Doesn't that desensitize them, you know, to violence? I don't know. I think a normal person would never I mean, everybody's desensitized nowadays, pretty much. Everybody. I mean, unless you're Amish or something. But I think if you're a stable person, you're never going to, you know, grab a gun or buy a gun and just go out and start shooting people. You gotta be mentally unstable. This idiot shooter in Highland Park claimed to be a rapper. Have you ever listened to rap music? Talk about some violent shit. They sing about shooting people, slapping chicks around. It's disgusting. Don't tell me that rap music didn't have a little bit to do with degrading this person's brain just that much further. This shooter in Illinois, in 2019, two different times the police had to come to his house. One time was he threatened to kill himself, and then the second time he threatened to kill, quote, everybody. And the cops took, he had a knife collection, and he had a sword and daggers and all kinds of knives. Apparently they took 16 weapons out of his house. So, and then, what, like 2 years later, he buys a weapon, a gun? He had multiple guns. So, shouldn't somebody have written that down? That this dude shouldn't be allowed to buy a weapon if he's threatening to kill everybody. You know, he on his social media, he made videos where he was a school shooter and shit like that. That didn't draw up any red flags. Only red flags being drawn up right now are on Trump supporters. So if you support Trump, then you're an insurrectionist, and FBI is probably looking at you real close. So stupid. We got to figure out a way to get these Democrats to stop, you know, trying to indoctrinate kids and teach kids that America isn't great. You know, we got to stop them from pushing all this hate on little kids, because there's going to be some slightly mentally unstable people that are going to be pushed down the road of you know, doing violence on people just because they're unstable. If the police would have been on the ball they would have been on to this guy, and he wouldn't have been able to get any weapons. But you can still get guns on the street. You know, that's not hard to do. If somebody wants a gun, they'll get a gun. And if they can't get a gun, then they'll just run people over with their vehicle, like that asshole did in Wisconsin at a Christmas parade. You know, so there's all kinds of ways to kill people. It isn't just guns. But punishing law-abiding citizens so that they can't defend themselves, it's ignorant. Especially when crime is sky high. When someone is delusional, you don't cater to their delusion. If someone thinks a man can be a woman or vice versa, that's a delusion. And lefties are trying to teach this to little kids. They're pushing this on everybody. They don't know what a woman is, this kind of bullshit. It's not good for the psyche of people who are struggling with mental illness. Because Democrats cater to the mentally ill, I think we're gonna get more shooters. So they're contributing to the violence that we're seeing. So I can blame the Democrats for it. It's never gonna get any better. Democrats push this shit because it's a way to stick a wedge in there and divide people and to get them to vote a certain way. It's the only reason they do it. People that profess that a man can be a woman, they don't really believe it. They don't believe it. They're just pushing a political agenda to get votes. Democrats cater to the mentally ill. They push that America is racist and it's not a good country. They think that violence is okay. So the problem that we have isn't going to get any better. We're seeing these what appear to be LGBTQ type people going on these rampages, and I think we're going to see more of it. Just my opinion.